We just had NFL Week 6, and I already talked about the Browns and Cardinals game, but there are still 9 other games I want to talk about. So, number one is this. The Raiders beat the Broncos 34-24 in Denver, by the way. The Raiders went on the road and beat Denver at home. And, oh my, this game was incredibly disappointing. Not because I'm a Broncos fan. I'm not a Broncos fan at all. But I do recognize the potential in Denver, and it is being failed to be realized. It's really, really frustrating. Broncos quarterback Teddy Bridgewater had 4 turnovers, 3 interceptions, and a fumble. And first of all, you cannot win when your quarterback has 4 turnovers in a game. It almost never happens. I'm sure there's an exception somewhere. It's happened once or twice in the NFL history, but come on, guys. This is ridiculous. Watching what happened in Denver on Sunday, it's infuriating because Denver has too much talent to lose and be wasted the way that they're being wasted. And by the way, Teddy should have had 4 interceptions. One of them got dropped. So Denver started 3-0. They've now lost 3 games in a row. And I just kind of can't believe that Denver passed on Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields. He is now the Bears' starting quarterback. He's a rookie quarterback. He's fantastic. And I tried to convince myself. I tried to be like, well, they needed Patrick Surtain and they had Teddy Bridgewater. I tried every way I possibly could to hear the Broncos' argument and convince myself, yeah, they didn't need Justin Fields. Nah, I look at them now and I'm like, they clearly should have drafted Justin Fields. To me, it looks like negligence. You can't not draft a quarterback when you need one the way they did. And it's so frustrating. Clearly drafting Patrick Surtain, he's a great corner, but he doesn't have an impact on the games the way that the quarterback position does. And I just can't believe Denver needed a quarterback, didn't draft one. Now they're 3-3. They're losing games they should win. And this loss, honestly, it's so bad it made me wonder what would have happened if Vic Fangio, their head coach, had stayed in Chicago as a defensive coordinator. He's failed as a head coach. And it's so infuriating to me. Now, good for the Raiders. They won now after losing their head coach, John Gruden. Derek Carr looked great. Their young second-year receiver, Henry Ruggs, had 3 catches for 97 yards and and a single touchdown, not 3 touchdowns. 3 catches, 97 yards, and a touchdown. The Raiders are now 4-2. Denver is an ugly 3-3. And if you're a Broncos fan, I feel horrible for you. I feel depressed for that whole fan base. It's frustrating. Every week I watch them and go, it's so obvious the talent this team has. And then they're being held back so clearly by the quarterback position and their head coach. And it's like, man, when will the suffering end in Denver? I don't understand, and I never know. Why does Denver appear to not value quarterbacks? John Elway's running that franchise. You would think him, of all people, would want a good quarterback, and for some reason, he just hasn't been able to get one at all in Denver. Game number 2, the Cowboys beat the Patriots 35-29 in overtime. I gotta say, I expected more from the Patriots defense here in this game. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott exploded. He shredded New England's defense. Dak was 36 for 51 passing with 445 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Dallas, by the way, also ran the ball for 122 yards. Dallas had 567 yards of total offense. It's, man, I look, the Patriots are 2-4. The season is not yet over, but Mac Jones appears to be improving, and the Patriots, I'm not ready to bail on them, and we'll see how the year goes for the rest of the year for them, but I gotta say, I expected more from New England by this point of the year, and they fought hard. It was a crazy game. It was really fun, and by the way, this was a incredibly fun game, but I just thought that the Patriots would have a better record 6 games into the year. Now, like I said, this game was super fun. The ending to this Patriots-Cowboys game was insane. First of all, Cowboys corner Trevon Diggs had a pick 6 with, little over 2 minutes left, 2 minutes and 27 seconds, something like that. 2 minutes and some change. So he had, by the way, Trevon Diggs now has 7 picks in 6 NFL games this year. That's unreal. The next closest guy only has 3 interceptions all year. So Trevon Diggs is on pace to, it's just unbelievable what he's doing. People trash him and say, he's not a good cover corner, gives up lots of yards. I don't care. Dude makes plays. It's undeniable the playmaking ability of Trevon Diggs. And Man. So anyway, he had a pick six with a little over 2 minutes left. It gave Dallas a 26-21 lead. Then on the very next offensive play for the Patriots, they hit a 75-yard touchdown pass to take the lead again, reclaiming that lead. They got a 2-point conversion. The Patriots are actually up 29-26 at the end of this game. Then Dallas puts together a drive. I feel like it's one of those stories where they're like, and then this happened, and guess what? Then this happened. So pick six, Patriots touchdown. Then the Cowboys put together a field goal drive at the end of the fourth quarter to tie the game 29-29. They force overtime. Then in overtime, the Patriots could not score with the ball. They had to punt it away. And Dallas won with a touchdown pass from Dak Prescott. Man, like, Dallas, in my opinion, they have really become a Super Bowl contender. And I did not give Dallas the respect they deserve going into the year. And I think I predicted them to win 6 games. I feel like an idiot. I'm like, okay, well, Dallas clearly has busted my prediction wide open. They've already won 5 games this year. They're 5-1. They look really good. Dallas looks like a Super Bowl contender. And Dallas is, like, I worry about injuries. That's something I said during my prediction was, can Dallas avoid injuries? I thought they'd be more banged up than they are by this point. And look, Dak Prescott is playing the best football of his entire life. So shout out to Dallas. They look fantastic. I got to make a video soon about how I was wrong about Dallas, because clearly, like, my prediction was way off. And one final note, there was a really, really cool play. 4th and goal for Dallas. Dak went to reach over the goal line with the ball. You know, quarterback sneak, trying to get the ball over the goal line. And Patriots linebacker Jawan Bentley knocked the ball out of his hands. And it's like a heads-up play. I really like that when you see a little... Often quarterbacks get away with it. They just put the ball really quickly over the line, over the goal line, touchdown. Jawan Bentley said, not at my house. He knocked the ball away out of Dak's hands. It saved a touchdown. And it's a great play. Unfortunately, it didn't lead to a win for the Patriots, but that's a big play that kept the game alive. That's why the game was able to go to overtime. By the way, Jawan Bentley, Patriots linebacker Jawan Bentley, had 13 tackles in this game. He had a fantastic game. And to me, it was impressive all around what he did against Dallas. Game number 3, the Bengals beat the Lions 34-11. Cincinnati is now 4-2. In my opinion, the Bengals are in the hunt for a playoff spot. It's going to be a really fun end of the year for the Bengals. I'm excited about them. They've had a great start to the year. However, Detroit now is 0-6. And for Detroit, all my focus is now shifting to the 2022 NFL Draft. And all I want to say is, hey, Malik Willis, Detroit 2022, I want them to draft the Liberty quarterback, Malik Willis. The Lions have a lot of needs. I acknowledge that. Quarterback is not their number one need, but it is the most important position in football. They got to get it right. And Jared Goff, their starting quarterback right now, is simply not the long-term answer. In fact, Jared Goff is a blessing in disguise because he's bad. He's not going to work. But what he can do is start week 1 next year while Malik Willis sits on the bench and waits till he's ready. And it's like, it's right there waiting. They got to have a horrible year. They draft a Liberty quarterback, Malik Willis. They build around him, restart their whole franchise. I like the coaching staff Detroit has. I like their offensive coordinator. I like Dan Campbell. And then I look at Malik Willis. He's the next Justin Herbert, Josh Allen type of quarterback who's incredibly physically gifted, who's rough around the edges, needs some polishing up in the NFL. But as long as Malik Willis wants to work hard and be coached hard, Detroit needs to draft him next year. And look, man, against Cincinnati, Jared Goff had another turnover, and the Lions only had 36 yards rushing. It was a terrible game. Detroit's just rebuilding. I don't hold it against the coaching staff. Jared Goff has made really, really costly mistakes, and Detroit, this game was not a competitive game, but a lot of games this year, Detroit has been close and competitive and fighting their butts off, and it's just unfortunate that, you know, they're working so hard. They're 0-6, and if you're a Lions fan, Malik Willis is all I can say. You gotta focus all your attention and beg your ownership to draft Malik Willis in the 2022 NFL Draft. Number 4, the Ravens beat the Chargers 34-6. Oh my goodness, this game shocked me. I honestly expected a really fun, great competitive game, and nope, we didn't get that. Now, Lamar Jackson had 2 interceptions. Justin Herbert, the Chargers quarterback, only had 1. And even though this game was a blowout, I still find it really, really interesting. So I'm going to save what I have to say. I'm going to share my thoughts later. I want to do a full breakdown of this game, but I wanted to acknowledge this happened. The Chargers got blown out by the Ravens. It's unexpected. I thought it'd be fun and competitive. It wasn't. I want to answer the question what happened on a later episode, but this game was pretty wild, and that score really surprised me. Number 5, the Vikings beat the Panthers 34-28 in overtime. It was wild. The Panthers were down 28-20 with 2 minutes left in the game, and their young quarterback Sam Darnold led them on a game-tying touchdown drive. He had 2 big 4th down conversions. He had a 4th and 10 throw down the middle. He had a 4th and 6 for a big gain down the left sideline. Carolina got a touchdown, then a 2-point conversion to tie the game up 28-28, forcing overtime. Minnesota got the ball first. They won with a touchdown in overtime, and Carolina, never got the ball in overtime. So I thought this game honestly ended rather perfectly, where Sam Darnold, the Panthers quarterback, walked away looking good, had a heroic performance, put together a game-tying drive, end of the 4th quarter. But then Minnesota won, and Minnesota, I thought, needed the victory more than Carolina. Carolina, I predicted to go 7-10. They're rebuilding. It's all good. Guys in Minnesota are fighting for their jobs. Mike Zimmer, the head coach, wants to not get fired. Kirk Cousins is, he played great. I think he has played fantastic enough to keep his job, but ownership often makes football decisions that maybe are not the best. So I worry about impatient ownership there. In the end, all of my interests were protected. Sam Darnold walked away looking good, and so did Kirk Cousins and Mike Zimmer. They got the victory. So I was happy with the outcome of this game, even though I would have been happy if Carolina won too. I consider myself like a closeted Carolina Panthers fan. I'm so in the closet about that, I won't even admit to myself I'm a Panthers fan. But every time I see the Panthers do well, I go, I get really happy and excited about that. So I also want to acknowledge the Vikings had multiple opportunities to kick the game-winning field goal. They could not make that happen. So I remember there was a moment where I praised the Vikings kicker, and he has not. Did I ruin him? Did I hurt his confidence? What happened there? I don't understand why. I praised the guy, and ever since then, I feel like he misses game-winning kicks over and over again. It's infuriating to me, but I'm glad that Minnesota, in the end, got the win anyway. Game number 6 is a long one. In London, the Jaguars got their first win of the year. They beat Miami 23-20, hit a game-winning field goal. It's pretty cool for them. So Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer will live to see another day. Honestly, I thought that this win, weirdly enough, hurt the Jaguars because it means that Urban Meyer, their head coach, is going to hang around a little longer. And I don't know if anybody noticed this. Last week, Urban Meyer would say stuff, and then his quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, would go in his press conference and immediately contradict him. It's weird. It's like, I almost felt like Trevor Lawrence was trying to say the opposite stuff of Urban Meyer to undermine him a little bit. And I wonder, and not even do I wonder, I kind of am of the mind that Trevor Lawrence just wants to get Urban Meyer out of here, doesn't want to work with him anymore. Nonetheless, the Jaguars won. They're now 1-5. And I got to say, Trevor Lawrence was fantastic in this game. He kind of looks like a Madden creative player. He's like a way better athlete than anybody gives him credit for. He's going to be fantastic. I have nothing but confidence that Trevor Lawrence is going to be an amazing quarterback in the NFL. Now, the Miami Dolphins are in a rough spot. They're 1-5. They've lost 5 games in a row. And by the way, it's crazy. This team won 10 games last year. It does not appear like Miami is going to bounce back and have an even better year than they had last year. And I'm not ready to make any big statements yet about Tua Tagovailoa's future, but I am concerned. I'll say that. And I will say, in fairness, Tua Tagovailoa played pretty well in this game. I thought it looked like he's getting better. And then you also calculate that, Trevor has, I keep saying Trevor. Why do I do that? Tua, you realize that Tua has fractured ribs. He was missing 3 receivers, Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, and Preston Williams. Tua, it's interesting. What are they going to do with him moving forward? Because it's unlikely that Miami is going to have a really good draft pick they can use to replace Tua. Because this next NFL draft, they traded away their first-round pick to Philadelphia. Now, they do have the 49ers first-round pick, but that's unlikely to be a top 10 pick. And it's pretty disappointing that every time Miami loses a game, their fan base can't even be glad. Losing doesn't even help them because all it does is give Philadelphia a better draft pick for next year in 2022. Really, the best thing Miami can do if they do want to actually replace Tua And I say the best thing rather cautiously because I don't really like this move. Like the best chance they have to get another quarterback other than Tua is probably to trade for quarterback Deshaun Watson, but that's a move I do not feel good about at all for like all kinds of reasons that I don't need to get into here. So I look at Miami right now, and I think they're kind of stuck with Tua. I mean, what they have to figure out is the question is not will Tua get better. You have to assume Tua is getting, the more reps you give him, the more time you give him, you have to assume he's going to get a little bit better. But the question really has to be in Miami, if Tua does get better, are you comfortable with his potential, with his ceiling? Because he can't run, he doesn't have a big arm. Like, I'm sorry, but Tua's never going to be Justin Herbert. He's never going to be Josh Allen. He's never going to be Malik Willis or Lamar Jackson or even, Trey Lance. Like, Tua has a limited ceiling. And the question is Miami comfortable investing in a guy who may not be, like, his best may not be as good as other quarterbacks around the league? And I'm very, very curious what Miami's going to do long-term at the quarterback position. I thought in this game Tua played fine, but his future definitely does not feel secure to me. Now, Miami in this game had a couple of chances on fourth down. It drove me nuts watching because they had a 4th and 1 on their own 46-yard line. Instead of going for it, they just tried to draw Jacksonville offsides and ended up punting it away. There was 6:48 left in the game when that moment happened. They punted away. It was frustrating. I'm like, guys, go for it. Like, why does Miami not understand the last thing you want to do is punt the ball away and lose because you weren't taking risks? And then later on 4th and 1 with the game on the line, Miami ran the ball. It got stopped. I hated both calls. I hated not going for it earlier on 4th down. And then later on 4th and 1, running the ball, it just felt boring and weird and safe, and I just drove me nuts to watch Miami in this game. Now, I do want to end this little talk about the Jaguars-Dolphins game by giving a shout-out to Jaguars kicker Matthew Wright. He was 3 for 3 kicking field goals, including the game winner. And they were long field goals, too. He had a 40-yarder. He had a 53-yarder. The game winner was 53 yards. He also had a 54-yard field goal. Matthew Wright, the Jaguars kicker, had a great day, and he probably is the sole reason why Urban Meyer is going to have a job at least a little longer, if not much longer. So we'll see. Urban Meyer, though, again, I repeat, I don't think this win was good for Jacksonville. I think what it did was allow the Urban Meyer mess to continue in Jacksonville rather than, if he loses, he probably gets fired. So I can't feel good for Jacksonville, even though they won a game, which is bizarre to say. Game number 7, the Steelers beat Seattle 23-20 in overtime on Sunday Night Football. And, man, I just felt bad for Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith. He's filling in. He's a backup. He's filling in for Russell Wilson, who's injured right now. And Geno Smith played pretty well. I was actually surprised. I'm like, oh, Geno Smith, like, hey, he came in last week when Russell Wilson got hurt. It's not a fluke. Like, Geno actually is a very capable quarterback. Now, the problem is he had a big fumble in overtime. TJ Watt made a huge play to force a fumble. There's some video out there. I saw it on YouTube. It's like, there's a reason why TJ Watt is the highest paid defensive player in the NFL. Like, he's fantastic. He's a big playmaker. I've done a film analysis of him. He's incredible. And so TJ Watt made a huge play, forced a fumble. It set up the game-winning field goal for Pittsburgh. But again, despite the one mistake in overtime, I thought Geno Smith played better than I expected, pretty well. And if Geno plays well in the next couple weeks, they play New Orleans and then Jacksonville in the next 2 games. Those games are winnable. And so if they beat New Orleans, they beat Jacksonville, Geno Smith plays well, then you might get Russell Wilson back week 10 against Green Bay after the bye week. So Seattle's in trouble, but they're 2-2. That could turn into, they're 2-4. That could turn into 4-4 later if they can beat New Orleans and Jacksonville. The year is not over, but certainly if you're a Seahawks fan, 2-4 with a backup quarterback playing at least 2 more weeks, there's no way you feel good if you're a Seattle fan. Game number 8, the Colts beat Houston 31-3, and the big story is not only that the Colts won, they're now 2-4. They're trying to save their season. I think they are. They're getting Hard Knocks later this year, which is going to be either really terrible or really interesting, depending on if they can win a couple games between now and then. Now, one big thing in this game is they got receiver T.Y. Hilton back in this game. He had a big 52-yard catch. He made a big impact in this game, helping Carson Wentz And I wonder if T.Y. Hilton will retire after this year. For the Colts' sake, I hope not. And also, one other weird thought about this game, I was reminded how much I hate the shadows at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indy. I say this jokingly, but like, hey, could we not get curtains in Indianapolis? Like, what's happening? Why? Every time I watch a game in Indy, I'm reminded of how much I hate those shadows. It's hard to watch. The ball disappears. The cameras have a hard time. I feel bad for the cameraman every time. And seriously, though, the shadows are terrible in that stadium. Davis Mills, the quarterback for Houston, he had 2 interceptions. He's a rookie. Like, the numbers are bad, but I thought Davis Mills, all things considered, wasn't terrible. And I'm excited to hopefully do a film analysis of him after the year is over. Like, I think he's got potential to maybe be, if not the franchise quarterback in Houston, but at least a duct tape quarterback for a while in Houston till they can get a long-term plan. And Davis Mills, like, again, the numbers were not great against Indianapolis. Only 3 points. They got annihilated. But Davis Mills does some quality stuff, and he had some good throws in this game as well. The final game I want to talk about, number 9, the Rams beat the Giants 38-11. Not a lot to say here. I want to say this, though, and I say I don't gloat very often. I think what that really means is I make videos saying, I was wrong about blank. I rarely make a video saying, I was right about blank. But I will say occasionally on the show, like, hey, I got this right, I got that right. There's one thing I got very right, I'm very proud of. I love you, Giants fans. You're passionate, you're angry. I don't mind it. But when I predicted the Giants to go at 4-13, oh boy, I got a lot of hate. People were very, very angry. The Giants are now 1-5. Just want to put that out there. It's just saying, hey, how crazy does 4-13 sound now? Huh? How's 1-5 sound if you're a Giants fan? I'm not happy about that, by the way. I feel bad for Giants fans. But looks like I wasn't so crazy after all. I'm a mad scientist, man. I get stuff wrong, no doubt. But like my predictions, the more I watch the year unfold, the more I'm like, I got that right. Got that. Like, I got stuff wrong. I was terribly wrong about the Cowboys, wrong about the Patriots, wrong about Miami. Like, stuff I got totally wrong. But there is stuff I was right about, too. And a lot of the stuff that made people the most mad, I ended up being the most right about. So, just, in one sense, I feel terrible for Giants fans. And I wish the Giants were not a bad franchise. Because actually, I'm like a weird fan where I like to follow the Giants and see what they're doing. And I love their fan base, the passion. But I also, as far as my prediction goes and feeding my ego, it certainly does feel good to see the Giants at 1-5 and go, I remember all those tweets at me. I remember all the messages I got. I remember reading comments, and I did not forget what people said to me when I said the Giants would go 4-13. Now that I say this, they probably finished the year undefeated and to make me look stupid. But so far, just saying, the Giants are 1-5.